Hi, friends. It's Darren Gerdes. It's day 304 in the war in Ukraine. It's also Christmas Eve. Now, I've been trying to figure something out. I wondered when Zelensky was in speaking to the U.S. Congress and visiting Washington, D.C., I was wondering, like, where are all the missiles? Why aren't the missiles dropping all over? Like, because whenever there's a big meeting, it's Putin's MO is to do something really exceptionally bizarre, bomb a shopping mall, bomb a residential compound, many missiles, something along those lines. I think he's running out and he can't really do it. He can't do it with the effect that he was doing. Now, that doesn't mean that there wasn't shelling in Kherson like there was here. Shells pummel Ukraine's Kherson, 7 dead, 58 wounded. Or here's another article about the same thing. It's a deliberate attack on civilians, said Zelensky. They attacked the market, a shopping center, residential building, administrative buildings. There are no military facilities anywhere nearby, but they're going to keep doing it. And that's just shelling. That's not these big barrage of missiles and drones. And Kherson is actually supposed to be part of Russia, and they're shelling civilians who are supposed to be Russian subjects now. So I just thought that was really odd. Another article on the same thing, Kherson hit by deadly shelling. So you see that, but you don't really see the missile attacks. Now, why don't you see the missile attacks? Okay, I think I have a little bit of an answer here. Russia has augmented its force in Ukraine with tens of thousands of reservists since October. And let me go down a different rabbit trail here. The ISW says that Moscow has been setting conditions for a new, most dangerous course of action, MDCOA, a renewed invasion of the northern Ukraine, possibly aimed at Kyiv. Now, if they are going to do that, they're going to need to have whatever missiles they have left in reserve. But that's just part of the puzzle. And war bloggers are really kind of pushing Putin that direction. Okay, back to the Ministry of Defense. Russia has likely limited its long-range missile strikes against Ukrainian infrastructure to around once a week due to the limited availability of cruise missiles. So they really don't have as many as they really should be in order to keep up the momentum that they have. Similarly, Russia is unable to have increased its stockpile of artillery munitions enough to enable large-scale offensive operations. So if they are going to do something else, they have to scale back and like hold their fire some. They have to keep their powder dry for now. Okay, so I think that's part of it. Now, what else has happened? So Zelensky visited Washington. The Senate voted yesterday, as did now the House, passed a $1.7 trillion government funding bill. And it went across party lines, as would be expected. But I don't think that's an indication of necessarily lack of support for Ukraine as much as other things. Now, there is a faction and there is a wing that is anti-Zelensky or hostile to it, and I haven't quite figured out why. But it seems like I think I have a part of the piece of the puzzle here now. This article by David French, I can't read the whole thing; it's embargoed. Oddly intense anger against Zelensky is explained, but I can't get into the whole thing. If anybody can read it and tell me what happened, I'd like to hear it. But so Candace Owens, I just want to punch him in the face. Okay. I like Candace Owens on some things, and I know that's going to isolate some of you. Don't worry about this. We're all friends about Ukraine here, okay? I'm not really a great fan of Donald Trump Jr. He doesn't really do much for me, but he was saying he's an international welfare queen. But then you also saw like Matt Walsh, and so dressed like the manager of a strip club, which sounded just like I'm sorry, a grifting leech, and the dressed like a manager of a strip club was Tucker Carlson. What I see here, and there was another one by Charlie Kirk, who is another fairly prominent, but they're all young. They're all young. And I just clicked to me this morning. So one of the trends that you see is that there's a younger, more populist crowd, and then there's the older line conservatives. So I saw Sebastian Gorka. Sebastian Gorka, this is his Rumble website. I watched this the other day, and I don't know which video it was, but look, this is America First, right? But he's a conservative, not a populist. And what he was saying was, he and Dennis Prager, if you know who Prager University is, he and Dennis Prager and Mark Levin. Mark Levin is also a stalwart opponent of communism and everything related to communism and that kind of thing. They're all gray hairs like me, right? Okay. And they were asking themselves this question: how would Reagan handle this? How would Reagan view this? And that put them on a very different course than what these younger populists are thinking. And these are two different groups. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor the political side anymore, but I think I got to an answer and I was excited about it. And I know at least some of you want to hear that. Okay, let me keep moving. All right. So another interesting article, and somebody flagged this the other day. Russian lawmaker accuses Putin of breaking his own law with a reference to Ukraine as a war. 2 days ago, he said he called it a war publicly. Our goal is not to spin this flywheel of a military conflict, but on the contrary, to end this war. I quoted that line. Well, there's a Russian lawmaker that wants to prosecute Putin. He wants him to face legal action over the comment because you can get jail time or fines for calling it a war. That's called authoritarianism, and you don't want that, but I think that's pretty fair. RT was saying U.S. is moving bioweapons research out of Ukraine, Moscow. So I thought this was an interesting article. Again, this is RT, so take it with a grain of salt. The Pentagon is actively working to transfer its unfinished research projects to the countries of Central Asia and Eastern Europe, Igor Kirilov insisted during a briefing on Saturday. It included documentary evidence. If anybody can find the documentary evidence, I would absolutely love to see whatever the documentary evidence is. But this is like giving Tucker Carlson, all the evidence that he needs to quote RT so that they can quote him back, as they've quoted him more than 300 times or cited him a number of times. Okay. I want to highlight this as well. This was one of my comments yesterday. We're talking about Zelensky with a tracksuit and looking like, coming in fatigue, the green camouflage. Pierre Bernard in 8079 said on Zelensky's attire, Churchill wore military fatigue to go to the White House in December of 1941. Churchill, of all people, who I think must have been sleeping in a suit. Yes, that's right. And I said that, wow, is that right? Wow, you're right. I looked it up as I was typing it. I looked it up. Zelensky wears it better. And here's the picture of it in People magazine from 1941. That's Churchill coming to visit the White House in 1941. That's really interesting. So I was really impressed with that. By the way, Jake Broke then later on in the day also showed the video, in his video showed that comparison as well. And I was going to say this is going to be the best video ever, but then Caps Lock, or the best comment ever, but then Caps Lock Pundit said nothing demonstrates a serious debate on the merits of an issue like questioning someone's fashion choices. And how true is that? Right. So I told him I was about to give Pierre the prize for best comment, but you trumped him. So congratulations, Caps Lock Pundit, for the fashion comment. You win. All right, let me keep moving. It's Christmas Eve, right? If you want to give anything to anybody, support Ukraine in some way. I put this on here. I get pennies on the dollar, but it's not worth my time to even do it. I just figure supporting this Ukrainian businessman is worth the time because it's also helping him as well. If you don't like that, please give to something like Samaritan's Purse. And I have this here. You can pump in any amount of money that you want to put in here and click give, and you'll be giving to a charity that you can trust. Give to United 24, whatever. Now, I hesitate to do this, but I put something on my page in the comments below as well. And I was thinking about how much time I've spent on this as well. So I figure I started on day 85. I actually went back a few days on 85, but it takes time to put this together. So 85 to 200 to 304 now, so a rough cut of about 200. So let's put 200 videos, and that's actually more than that because I do multiple a day sometimes, times, and it takes me roughly 2 hours at a minimum to do this. So I'm going to have 400 hours. It's probably more like closer to 500. Let's say it's 450 divided by 40. That's 40 hours in a work week. And I have 11 weeks of work week time that I've put into this in a conservative estimate. I tell you all that to say this. In my video, I put this on here. If you like some of the content of this video and you want to support the work that I'm doing, you can buy me a coffee. And you don't have to, but if you want to support me, actually going to that page, that link will bring you to this, and you can click on this, and it'll give me $5 if you click on one. And I'm not ever actually going to use it on me. I'm going to do something nice for my kids for all the time that I've taken away from them, because I have 6 kids and that's a lot of time. So to whatever goes into here will go into a fund that will fund for my kids. Why doesn't it go to Ukraine? I've just spent about a semester of extra work on Ukraine. I'm doing the best that I can to try to support that. But if you support me here, that's what I'll do with that money. Thank you. I appreciate it. One last thing before I go, I want to give a shout out to Vladimir Putin. And I want to say this, and in the words of SpongeBob SquarePants, when you are thinking about bombing or sending missiles tomorrow,
don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas.
Okay, don't be a jerk. It's Christmas, right? Just, by the way, you need the missiles anyway because you're kind of running out. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.